Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Little Likac podcast. My name is Amanda and I'm coming to you from Derby in the UK. It is Saturday the 4th of November. This is a knitting and crochet vlog and you are very welcome to join me. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. And if you don't like what you see, don't. Don't tell me, no. Leave me a comment below, say hello. We've got lots of things to talk about today. I have been working, I've had 2 weeks off proper work, full-time work, so I've been working on lots of projects over the last couple of weeks. I had a little bit of, I was going to say cast-on-itis, but actually perhaps I didn't cast on lots of new things, but I've worked on a lot of different things. I've found it quite hard this last couple of weeks. I've had a few days where I felt quite unsettled and couldn't spend much time on one thing and kept swapping projects. So anyway, lots to show you because of that. We have finished objects to show you. We have some new cast-ons. We have some old whips that have been in hibernation really, that I've got back out. An update actually on my whip progress for this year. I've been working on the vlogs, so if you want to see what I've been doing on a day-to-day basis starting from the 1st of November, the November vlogs have started and I'm vlogging every single day through November. Fingers crossed, so far 4 out of 4 days done. So do come along and join me on that. And in fact, if you want to be involved in inspiring me for some yarn dyeing, then check out Friday the 3rd of November's vlog for some information on how you can be involved in inspiring me. Okay, I'm just going to move the camera forward a little bit, I think. There we go. Feels a bit, there we go. You can see it is, well, I don't know if you can see, that's not bright sunshine out there. It's actually quite grey and cloudy. I will close the blind. So yeah, it's actually quite grey and cloudy out there. It's been raining all day. Some of the things that I wanted to do today, like cleaning out the chickens, hasn't happened because of the rain. That'll happen tomorrow. I'm going to give you also a heads up on the make along that we're going to be doing next year and how you can prepare for that. So in fact, actually, let's start with talking about that make along. So the make along next year is going to be called your Socksy and You Know It. And the idea is to knit a pair of socks each month. You do not have to participate every single month, but what is going to make this a little bit more fun is I am going to, for me, well actually what I would like you to do if you want to join in with it really in full participation mode, the idea is to pick out 12 sock yarns you've got in your stash, and perhaps if you haven't got 12 or you haven't got 12 that you want to use next year, just pick out 6 and do it for the first 6 months or do every other month, whatever works for you. But the point is that you pick out some sock yarns that you definitely want to use next year and then you wrap them up. Now what I'm going to do for wrapping them up is I've been collecting paper bags that I've been getting over the last month or so and when I've done any shopping, and I'm going to use those to wrap them. And then I'm going to hide them away, squirrel them away, and just take out 1 pack each month. Now there are going to be some that are going to be on a theme that I want to definitely knit for particular months. For example, I've got a Yarndale skein of yarn and I want to knit that in September or maybe August, before Yarndale happens at the end of September. So there are a few that I am going to purposefully put a specific number on, as in or month of the year on. I want to knit those socks in August, or I want to knit those socks in October, if they're Halloweeny ones, etc. But then the rest are just going to be random. So I'm asking you if you want to get involved in this. Now, to be honest, you can get involved at any level. If you just knit a pair of socks in a month next year, or during this course of a month, then feel free to enter that anyway. But if you want to really be part of it, then I'm saying to you, do this now. Pick out your yarns now, get them wrapped up in something now, whether it's wrapping paper, carrier bags, project bags, whatever. Label them, number them if you want to. If you want them to be complete lucky dip, that's fine. I mean, you could just put all 12, if you're going to go for complete random lucky dip, put all 12 in like a big drawstring bag and then you can just pull one out each time. So the hashtag for it is going to be your Socksy and You Know It. And so start getting your yarns together, start or maybe get somebody else involved, get them to pick out the yarn and wrap it for you, so you really don't know what you're going to be getting. It's up to you what level of mystery you want to put into this. So it's going to be your Socksy and you know it is the hashtag, and the idea is to knit a pair of socks each month. If you only want to do 6 pairs, that's absolutely fine. If you want to do 3 pairs, that's fine. But if you want to do the full experience. Now, I'm also going to focus particularly on striped socks, I think, stripy or variegated yarn, rather than plain colours. So that's something else that I'm going to include in mine. And now, one of the things that inspired that was a sock along that Kelly Menzies and Jane Burns are doing. Now, theirs is called I'm Too Socksy. So you can see I took inspiration from their pattern name. So the pattern is I'm Too Socksy, and it works really well with self-striping yarn. So that's kind of where this came from. I was going to start showing you that, but I haven't done my finished objects yet. Let me do my finished objects first, and then we'll come back to the I'm Too Socksy socks. So finished objects. We'll stick with the sock theme then. Finished objects. Ta-da! So these are using self-striping yarn, as you can see. These are using West Yorkshire Spinners Forest Stripes. It's a Zandra Rhodes colourway. And I bought this yarn from Wool, the shop called just Wool in Bath, in 2021, I think that was. And I can still remember actually buying it. So this is what I say quite often when I say about going to yarn shops as part of my travels and buying yarn as souvenirs. I can remember buying this yarn. I can remember talking to the lovely lady who owns the shop and runs the shop. I can remember that weekend away. I was spent a really lovely weekend in Bath with some very, very, very old friends of mine. I've been friends with for about 20 years. So just knitting on these socks brought back those memories, which was really lovely. So they are finished. They are just my vanilla sock recipe that I use. I always use 2.25mm needles, 64 stitches cast on, 2x2 rib because I'm lazy, and I think 2x2 rib goes quicker as far as I'm concerned. And then relatively long leg, heel flap and gusset, because again I'm lazy. I find that the quickest way to do it. I know how to do it, and I know that that fits me. And then just wedge toe, don't know what this toe's called, standard toe, decrease toe. I do decrease every other round all the way down to usually about 24 stitches, and then graft the toes. So there you go, really nice. They are really nice actually. West Yorkshire Spinner is a absolute great go-to sock yarn. My next finished object has turned out super cute. So this is for my neighbour's grandson, who is going to be born literally any day now, maybe even any moment now. I believe she is in labour as I speak, so that is super exciting. I actually had this finished earlier in the week, which I was quite pleased about because the baby was due this week and I didn't think I was going to have it finished. I told my neighbour, don't expect to have this ready for the end of October because I've got so many other things done. So it is this cardigan, which is the Very Hungry Caterpillar cardigan set, which is by a designer called Hennie. And the actual pattern comes with hat, booties, cardigan. There is lots of different ways you can do the actual caterpillar. You can use intarsia, and I think it's designed for up to age 3. This is the second size, the 3 to 6 month size that I've done. It has a little leaf pocket, which is so adorable. And then I chose to do probably the simplest way of doing the caterpillar, which was to knit the caterpillar in one piece and then sew it on, and then embroidered his face before I sewed it on, and then I just did a little bit of embroidery for antennae. Now in theory you're supposed to do legs as well. But I reached a point where I was really pleased with how it had all gone, and I was worried that trying to do the legs as well, I might mess it up, and I just felt like I was going to quit while I was ahead rather than keep adding more bits, making it fiddly and ruining it. And I don't think it matters. The buttons I'm really pleased with. Look at these buttons. Little red apples. So they've come. I used 100% acrylic, mostly fairly cheap acrylic if I'm honest. The cream, or this off-white, was something like First Choice Bonus DK from somewhere like Home Bargains. All the greens, no, not all the greens, these two greens and this red are Stylecraft Special DK, and this bright green was Home Bargains one. So all of that, all of the acrylic, all of the yarn came out of the stash, cost me nothing. I did have to buy the apple buttons. I think I ended up having to buy a pack of 10, and I've used 5 on here. Yeah, so I've still got 5 left. So in theory, I could do a second one of these probably. Not saying that I would. Pattern itself was pretty straightforward to follow. Well, yes, no, the pattern was straightforward to follow. It's just there was a lot of instructions, partly because she had tried to make it really foolproof. And she gave you quite a few options as well. So the only thing that made it complicated was just trying to make sure you could find the bit that you were doing next. Sleeves were knitted in the round and striped. I can't remember if I told you this last time, but I'd realised that I had done the two sleeves in 2 different sizes. I'd done one sleeve in the first size and one sleeve in the second size, and I had said, oh, it'll be okay, and no, I couldn't live with that, so I had to unpick one and redo it. So both sleeves are now the same size. So that's a very Hungry Caterpillar cardigan. I'm really pleased that I've got a chance to show that to you today, because I have a feeling I will be wrapping that probably tomorrow for my neighbour to take to gift to her daughter and her new grandson. Very exciting. So those are my 2 finished objects. I then said to you then that last week I had a little bit of time where I kept just moving from project to project, so I pulled out a few things that I hadn't worked on for a little while. One of which was this jumper sweater for Americans, or any other non-Brits, to be fair. I think it's only British that call them jumpers, because I think in Australia a jumper is like dungarees. And anyway, so sweater. And this is the Audley End Sweater, which I started in the summer. It's worked bottom up, and I did all the fiddly stuff, and now it's just, I was going to say it's lots of stocking stitch. It's almost all stocking stitch now, but it has got a little bit of patterning. You just do a purl stitch every so often. I am using Wendy Supreme 100% cotton in this beautiful jewel tone pink. Shade is 1941. It's Wendy Supreme 100% luxury cotton DK. The purple was the Zandra one, which was, again, I think, just seeing if I've got a ball band. So I'd use this Zandra to knit a top in the summer. Yeah, Zandra cotton DK. And I had literally half a ball left over. Oh, just found a crochet hook in the bottom of there. 3.5mm crochet hook. Let's take that out. I don't know why that's in there. The pattern comes from the Knitter magazine, and the pattern is called Audley End. Now it has got an errata in it, an error, and I can't find the page number, page 60. So yeah, the pattern has got a mistake in it, but sorted that. So you can see it is a short sleeve t-shirt, and so I've done all that colour work, so now it's just plain. So it's probably good TV knitting. It's probably actually going to be quite good knitting to take maybe to knit groups as well at the moment, because I haven't got any other very simple knitting to take to knit group. So I don't know how much I've done since the last you've seen it. I think the last time you saw it I just finished all the colour work. The colour work is all done by slip stitches. It is a little bit complicated, you do really have to concentrate on it. So I'm just looking around now for a progress keeper. Right, okay, what I'm going to do, because I've got a stitch marker on there. Okay, let's put a progress keeper on. So we can see next time I show you how much work I've done on it. Oops. So yeah, put a Christmas progress keeper in. I don't have many progress keepers down here actually at the moment. Alright, so that is the Audley End sweater. So as I say, I think that's going to become one to take to knit group with me over the next few weeks. Alright, something else then that I pulled out of hibernation. Just going to rustle my bags around for a minute. So this really had been hibernating. I hadn't worked on it at all year. I think January was the last time I worked on it. And this is some of the yarn. It is my granny square, not granny square, my granny stripe scrappy blanket. Absolutely love this. I am using a 3.25mm crochet hook. And I'm using sort of more muted pastel colours on this. There are no vivid bright colours, she says, and then there's a stripe there with, generally speaking. So it's a lots of pinks, purples and blues. So last time you saw it was up to there. So I've just put those stripes in. Put a lot of stripes in last Sunday actually, just got a few rows. Just felt the urge to get it out. Now that's partly because I bought a whole load of minis that have arrived from the lovely Sally Trollope. Sally has got a de-stash page on Instagram and she was de-stashing loads and loads of minis, so I bought loads of minis, and in fact I've created my own little advent calendar with them as well. I've put them away into I got a wooden box advent last year, and so I've just put the minis into there, and I did it without looking at them too much as well, but they were beautiful. And so I've got pretty much 2 minis per day, apart from maybe one day where I've only got one, just the way the numbers worked out. So I'm going to be putting out those minis, and they are all going into this beautiful blanket. I do already have lots of other minis still to go in here. These are, so when I do a stripe, whatever's left then comes into here. So this has got all sorts, some glittery ones. That's a Premier Silk of mine actually. So anything which can still be used again goes back in here, and then I keep going through this lot, and once I've gone through all of those, anything that gets left gets put in there, and then we start back from scratch again. But obviously I'm going to be adding a whole load of shed load of minis into here starting from 1st of December. So I think what I'm going to try and do is before the 1st of December use all of these, not use them all up, but do at least one stripe of all of these minis into here, so that then when I start opening those advent ones I can put them straight in. It's just going to be beautiful. Okay, so that's another project that I have been working on, and I think I will work on again. Yes, I've moved the progress keeper. So that's lovely. The advent shawl, the Enchanted Delight advent shawl is also finished. That was a project I had to knit the sample for. So Penny Baker designed a beautiful advent wrap that is a free pattern with my advent calendar, which have sold out. They've all gone. It will be available to buy, I want to say, at the end of December. I can't remember the exact date. So if you want to purchase that pattern, you will be able to buy it at the end of December. But the customers who bought the little Likac Advent will have access to it from the end of November, so they can knit it in December with the Likac Advent, which is really exciting. So I finished the shawl itself, and then Penny and my friend Kate and we went out and took some photos, which is really exciting. So I can't wait to be able to start sharing that with you. Obviously, the first release of that pattern will be in black and white, and then gradually again, as people start to open the advents, you'll be able to see all the colours. So, but that took quite a bit of knitting. I knitted on that pretty much throughout the whole of October, and it worked really well because I did, you know, I did a section a day most days. Right, so now let's talk about new cast-ons. Let's go to the I'm Too Socksy socks and show you those properly. I started these on the 1st of November, and I thought, oh, I'll knit these over the first few weeks of the vlog, because the make-along that Jane and Kelly are hosting, you have to finish your pair by the 24th or maybe 26th of November. So I thought, oh, I'll start them at the beginning of November. I've already pretty much finished the first sock. Literally, it's just waiting for the toes to be grafted. I've knitted these on 2.5mm needles, and they've just knitted so quickly. So bear in mind, I started them the 1st of November. Today is the 4th of November. They've just knitted so quickly. The yarn that I'm using, I had a 50-gram ball of Knitpicks Felici in this colourway called Dragon Boat, which I had in my head would be quite Christmassy, and I think they probably are. But I knew 50 grams wouldn't be enough to do 2 socks, so I'm using this cotton Regia yarn. It's cotton wool mix. I'm using that for the contrasting heels, toes and cuffs. I always struggle to say that. And I split the Felici. I actually wound that into 2 25-gram balls, so I'm pleased I did. Now the next sock doesn't start with the red. The next sock starts with the green, so they are not going to be matching socks in respect that they are not going to have the same stripes in the same place, part of the foot. I am knitting, I think it's the 3rd size, and there's part of me regrets that. I think I should have gone with the 4th size, which surprised me because I'm knitting them on 2.5mm needles, which is a bigger needle than I usually use. I've tried them on and they do fit, but they do feel quite tight, or they definitely feel tighter than how I usually wear my socks. So we'll see whether I keep these or not, or they may get gifted. They might get gifted to my daughter. Once I've finished them and I've blocked them, I'll sort of see how I feel. The pattern itself though is gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure that I will knit another pair of these next year when your Socksy and you know it, Cal. So I unashamedly was inspired by this pattern and this make-along, sock-along that Kelly and Jane are doing, and they have a shared podcast called Unity, EWEKNITY, and yeah, so you know, if you go on to watch their videos, they've got more details about the make-along. But yeah, definitely it was that make-along that inspired me. I thought, do you know what, I've got lots of self-striping yarn. I want to make, you know, I should knit more of those yarns next year. So that was a new cast on. Now, is this a new cast on as well? I think this is a new cast on since I last saw you. Yes, I'm sure it is actually. You've seen the pattern and the yarn before, because I bought it this year, so that's relatively new for me. And it was this pattern, which is Stylecraft 9941, and I am knitting this vest top, but I am not going to do the full rib neckline. It will just have the shorter neckline. And I'm using Shetland Tweed Chunky, which is from Woolcraft, and it's 77% acrylic, 20% wool, 3% viscose. It's really soft, quite fluffy. And this is where I have got to. It is fiddly. You do have to concentrate. I do have to check each row as I'm doing it, because it's got quite a lot of different cables. You've got that cable going on, that cable going on, and that cable going on. So each row something different is happening in these areas. Hence the reason why we've got a lot of stitch markers. I'm probably going to take those out now. I don't need those now, but I certainly needed the stitch markers for the first sort of set of the row repeat, so the pattern repeat, just to help me make sure that each section was right. So it's a good tip actually, is when you've got a complicated lace pattern or even cable pattern like this, putting stitch markers in between certain sections just helps you keep on track. And because this is a printed pattern, a lot of my patterns are electronic versions, and I use the Knit Companion app, and you can highlight where you're up to. This is a printed copy obviously, so I can't do that, which again means that just takes I find it takes a bit more concentration. So what I've been tending to do is setting aside and just doing like one or two repeats of the pattern at a time, and then I've had enough and want something a bit more mindless. So it's coming on well though, because it's chunky, it's knitting up quickly. I'm pleased with how that is turning out. I think the colour is lovely. In my head I kind of imagine wearing this over a dress, although I have no idea what dress I would wear this over, and I thought I would be able to wear it to work potentially as well. My classroom can be quite cold, although having said that, I've moved classrooms this year, so we'll see if the classroom I'm in this year gets cold or not. I think it will, for the same reason as my other classroom did, that it doesn't get any direct sun, which probably means it won't get too hot in the summer, but I have a feeling it will get cold in the winter. Now the next thing I'm going to show you that I've been working on is another whip, which you have not seen me work on before. I showed you this at the beginning of the year when I was going through. Help I had the right bag. I showed you this at the start of the year when I was going through all the whips that I wanted to work on. Apart from blankets, because blankets don't count, because blankets can take years. So apart from blankets, this is the last of the whips that I started with in January that I said I wanted to complete this year. I'm proud of that. And it is these socks, and they are beautiful. And I think I've been procrastinating, thinking that these were more complicated than they actually are. Again, take a little bit of concentration, but not much. So they do have beads on all the way down to the foot. Then there's no beads from the foot. The heel is different as well, because it's cabled, and then it's not like a heel flap and gusset normal heel. This is the base of the heel, like that. I don't know what you would call it. And I'd got it in my head that I was still in a very complicated part of the pattern, and I really wasn't. Once I picked it back up, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see where I am. All right, okay, that's not anything to stress over really. And in fact, this bit now, I'm probably onto the easiest part of the sock. So I've got a little progress keeper there. Presumably last time I showed it on the podcast, where I was actually knitting on it, is where that's where I'd got to. So I am going to move the progress keeper, and yeah, to be fair, finishing this first sock shouldn't be that complicated. Looking back on my notes, starting the second sock is going to be complicated, because it's got a German twisted cast on, and I had made a note of how I'd found that quite fiddly, and then I found the first row of stitches really difficult because it made the cast on quite tight. So, and then I've got to remember how I placed the beads, because I know that I didn't thread the beads on before. I think I used the floss method, because again, that's what I've made a note of. And so I need to kind of get my head back into doing that. So actually starting the second sock is going to be much harder work than finishing this first sock, because I'm going to have to do the German twisted cast on again and place the beads in the same way again. Because if I change to pre-threading the beads won't be on in the same way. But the aim is to finish these before the end of the year. But as long as they're done by the end of the year, then that means I will have completed, apart from blankets, all the whips that I wanted to work on. The Star Trek socks were the only other ones that didn't get completed, but they got frogged. So the yarn I'm using for this is a knit crate yarn. So the Knitoligie Super Sock. It is lovely actually. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 400 metres. Just looking to see if there's a... Ooh, no, these are the beads that I'm using. Have we got another progress keeper in? Ooh, no, there's stitch mark. Oh no, right, okay. Why have I got that many stitch markers and progress keepers in there though? I wonder if... Right, I'll take another progress keeper out of here. But I'm just wondering again if I had those set, if I was using those to keep keep track of something in this pattern potentially. Right, so I will continue to work on those to aim to finish those. Oh, let's put the needles. I've had some problem with breaking wood needles recently, so let's try and make sure we actually put the needles into the needle protector. That's the point of having one. So they are lovely sock actually. I really do want to keep working on those, but again, take a bit of concentration. Definitely not knit group socks. Another pair of socks. These were not a whip at the start of the year, so they're not part of the whip project, but just for my own sake, I would like to get them finished by the end of the year. And these are the Hope Springs Eternal sock, designed by me. So turned the heel on that. This pattern is a 4-row repeat. It is fairly, well, it's easy to remember, but again, you do just have to keep track of what you're doing. In fact, I think I've made a mistake there now I've just looked at it. I think, yeah, look, I made a tiny mistake there. You can't really see it, it's only because... Anyway, let's have a look if I've got a progress keeper in here that I can... No, that's a stitch marker, not a progress keeper. Right, well, let's put this progress keeper on so that we can see how far I get on these in the next couple of weeks. So, and again, so actually I'm going to take that, no, I was going to say I was going to take that out of here because of these being metal needles. They're unlikely to get broken. However, the bag that they are in, the project bag, doesn't do up at the top or anything, so it's there's the potential that a needle can fall out of this project bag. It's a good project bag for having on your arm and walking around knitting, but it's not the best progress bag just for throwing into the car or anything like that. Okay. Right, and last new cast on. I had an urge to make this, and it's the Hexi crochet cardigan that lots of people have been making. It's been all over TikTok, and I kept thinking about making this, and then my brain said, yes, do it, do it, do it. And I wanted to go and buy new yarn for it, but then I was like, no, have a look in your stash, Amanda. So I was good. And I picked out this out of my stash, which is so beautiful. And this is King Cole Mirage DK. It is 50% wool and 50% acrylic. It is quite sticky wool as well, because the first attempt at this, I think I decided I was using a hook that was slightly too small, and so I ripped it back, and ripping it back was quite difficult because the wool had was quite sticky. But so I've started it again. And I really love how these colours are coming out. Now it's a hexagon blanket, so it won't, well not blanket, it's a hexagon cardigan. And so it won't lay flat to show you straight away, so it looks better if I show you like this. And I do really like how these colours are coming out, and I think for a winter one, this is going to be lovely. The pattern I'm following is a video tutorial. I'll try and remember to link it below. We'll see how we get on with that. Now once I've got it established, it's fairly straightforward until I get to the next section, I guess. I just don't like video tutorials, particularly because, especially on YouTube, you're constantly having to pause it and then trying to rewind to see exactly, and then you rewind too far. But anyway, I've got it started. I've got 4 balls of this, which I'm hoping will be enough. It is 100 grams, so it's 300 metres, just over 300 metres on each ball, so I'm hoping there will be enough. Alright, and then the last thing we have to show you is acquisitions. These are my bargain acquisitions, actually. So you know how I like a good charity shop. Well, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I love a good charity shop and I love a good bargain. And I'd been to a charity shop not far from me about 4 weeks ago, and I went in quite late. They were just going to be closing, and they'd got knitting needles at the front of the shop by the checkout, and I suddenly looked and went, that looks like Knit Pro packaging. And sure enough, they'd got a basket full of Knit Pro needles in their original packaging. So either these were brand new and not being used, or whoever has had them has kept them all pristine in their original packaging. Not something I would do, because I'm just not that organised. So I grabbed a couple of pairs then. I can't remember where I've put those now, actually. I might have just put them away with the rest of my needles, maybe. But I knew that there were quite a lot, and I thought, oh, at some point I'm going to go back and buy more. Then I wouldn't say I forgot about it, but I didn't really have any other reason to go to the charity shop, and you know, I was like, oh, do I need more needles? Then today my brain said, yes you do, Amanda, or at least you need to go and look to see if they've still got any left. So I did. And they had lots left. They had a lot of straight needles, and then quite a few fixed circular needles. Now, I bought most of the fixed circular needles, I'm going to say. So, I double checked. I said, how much are these a pack? Because I think they charged me £2 a pack when I bought the 2 pairs last time, which was still a bargain. And the lady said to me, £1 a pack. Knit Pro in their original packaging, £1 a pack. Okay. So what have we got here? We have got 3.75mm needles on 100cm cable. 6.5mm on 120cm cable. 5mm on 120cm cable. These could be good for some chunky blankets potentially, couldn't they? 6mm on 60cm. Now I have got some chunky yarn to knit some baby jumpers with. So I think a 60cm cable, 6mm needle will be useful for that. 5.5mm on 120cm. 4mm on 120 centimetres, 4.5mm on 100 centimetres, and a 6mm on 80 centimetres. And then, oh, and 3.75mm double pointed needles, which I've got quite a few of those anyway, but kind of just like a useful size to have. So 9 pairs of Knit Pro needles, which, you know, maybe they have been opened, but like I say, this person, whoever's used them before, has kept them all with the right packaging. So amazing. And then I thought, so they've got all their knitting needles in a different section, in one section, because they have to have knitting needles. They can't have them out on display for people to pick up. They have to have them because they can be seen as dangerous weapons. Anyway, so but where they actually have yarn and patterns and things like that is in a different section. So I thought, oh right, I'll just have a quick walk over. They had got a whole load of magazines again, £1 each, but I didn't buy any of those. But I did see this, a full pack of Aran cotton. So this is Peyton's Cotton Aran, 100% cotton. I'm saying it's 100% cotton. I haven't actually seen anything that specifically says that. I've had some people pronounce this as patterns as well, but I thought it was Peyton's. 100-gram balls. Oh, it's all sealed. It's still in its original packaging. 100 grams, 10 balls for £10. So I paid £1 each for the knitting needles, Knit Pro Symphony needles, and then £1 for each 100 grams Aran cotton. Come on, Amanda, I'm sure somewhere you can read. There we are, found it. 100% cotton, yeah. The colourway for this is 3654 and 10 balls, a kilogram of Aran yarn. I can definitely make myself, I'm thinking, a cable Aran sweater of some sort, or cardigan. So yeah, what a bargain. I always say this to people, check out your charity shops, guys, check them out. I have over the years picked up some great bargains, some really nice quality wool and yarn. I mean, this yarn doesn't look like it was terribly expensive. It says reduced from £29.90 on the original label here, but I can't help thinking £3 a ball would have been a little while ago. So I suspect this Aran, this is possibly into the realms of vintage. Oh, I said it's in its original. Oh yeah, it's been sellotaped over. So yeah, I'm really happy with that for £10 for all of that yarn. And it is pink, but it's kind of a corally pink. You know, I mean, purple would have been better, but pink is probably my second favourite colour, isn't it? So we're all good with that. I feel like it's a real much of a summer colour, but I'm not sure about an Aran weight summer project, but yeah, we'll see. Right, my lovelies, I think that is it for today. Yes, so please check out my vlogs, and I'm just trying to think, I've told you about the make-along. There will be prizes going out next year for the make-along. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed all my progress on all my projects. There's been quite a lot that I've worked on. I've had 2 weeks off though, so it's been really nice to be able to focus a lot on the knitting. Next weekend I'll be dyeing, and so keep an eye open for shop updates, because there will be some new yarn going into the shop. And yeah, please check out the vlogs, and thanks for watching.